Hands behind your back. I can verify this in 30 seconds. I'm not verifying anything. That's my business license. You don't belong here. That's my business license. I didn't ask about paperwork.
The officer steps closer, too close. The table edge hits a leg. The camera dips. Stop talking. The door is open. Lights are on. Coffee is hot. None of it matters. Turn around. For what? I said turn around. A phone buzzes on the table. Missed call. The officer snaps his head. Don't touch that. The camera catches the red dot. Recording. Clear. Continuous. You're choosing to make this worse, the officer says. No. Comes back. You are. Silence. Half a second. Then the cuffs lift higher. I already called this in as a detention. The licenses stay in frame. Official. Framed. Untouched. You could end this right now, the voice says. The officer shakes his head once. I decide how this goes. Footsteps approach from outside. Another unit. Too late for easy fixes now. The officer doesn't step back. Doesn't lower the cuffs. Doesn't verify what's already proven. Every second is recorded. Every command is captured. And whatever happens next won't stay inside this room. The officer doesn't lower the cuffs. He doesn't put them away either. They hang at his side, visible. Sit up straight. The chair shifts. Wood scrapes. Hands stay on the table. I asked why you're here. I told you. I'm having coffee. That doesn't explain why you've been here this long. The officer looks around again. Slow, deliberate, empty booths, counter clean, door open. He takes it in but doesn't react to it. This place looks closed. It's not. I didn't ask you to decide that. The officer steps to the side, just enough to widen his stance. The camera catches his boots. Planted. I drove past twice, he says. You didn't move. I was sitting. That's the problem. A pause. You don't look like staff. I didn't say I was staff. I know the owner, the officer says. Flat. Certain. Silence follows. She wouldn't be okay with this. With what? You sitting in here like this? The officer raises his chin slightly. The camera catches it. Posture changes before tone does. Give me your ID. I don't have to. The officer exhales, loud. Into the mic. Every time I ask you something, you push back. I'm answering you. No, the officer says. You're challenging me. He takes another step closer. The table edge presses in again. I'm trying to keep this simple. There are licenses on the wall. Comes back. Calm. Repeated. The officer turns his head just enough to acknowledge the wall exists. He doesn't move toward it. I'm not checking the wall. A beat. You don't tell me how to do my job. I'm telling you how to verify. The officer's voice tightens. I decide what's relevant. The cuffs shift in his hand. Metal. Clicks once. Accidental. Still recorded. Right now, what's relevant is that you're refusing to identify yourself. I'm sitting in my business. I said, stop talking. The officer glances toward the door, then back. He positions himself slightly more to the center, narrowing the path out. Not fully blocking it yet. Close. Stand up. For what reason? I don't have to explain myself. The command hangs there. Not followed. The officer's jaw tightens. The camera catches it. Do you want this to turn into something else? I want you to check the licenses. I already told you no. The officer taps his radio once with his thumb. Not transmitting. A warning gesture. You keep pushing this, he says, and it won't go the way you think. The phone on the table lights up again. Another buzz. The officer notices immediately. Don't touch that. I wasn't. Hands where I can see them. They already are. The officer doesn't acknowledge that. For the record, he says louder now, you are not free to leave. I wasn't trying to leave. Good. He nods once, to himself. Decision forming. I'm detaining you until I figure out who you are and why you're really here. That's already clear. I said, stop talking. The officer finally keys the radio. This time he speaks. Dispatch, I'm out on a subject refusing ID. Stand by. Static answers back. The officer stays where he is. The cuffs stay visible. The licenses stay unchecked. Nothing has happened yet. But the direction is set. The officer takes a half step back, then forward again. The distance keeps changing. Control without contact. Keep your hands where I can see them. They're already on the table. Fingers spread. Still. Don't move. I'm not moving. That's not a response. The officer reaches up and taps the body cam once. A small click. The recording stays on. For the record, he says, louder now, you're being detained for investigation. Investigation of what? I said, stop talking. He turns his head slightly, scanning the empty room again. The camera follows his movement. Booths, counter, open kitchen. No one else. You're alone in a closed business. It's open. I decide that. A pause. You don't decide that. Comes back even. The officer's shoulders square. His voice hardens. Watch your tone. I'm sitting down, and you're not cooperating. The officer pulls out a small notepad, flips it open, then closes it without writing. The motion is recorded. Pointless. Name. I'm not required. I didn't ask what you're required to do. Another step forward. The table edge presses again. Name. Now. Silence. The officer nods once to himself. Okay. His hand goes to the cuffs. They don't come off. Yet. You're making this harder than it needs to be. There are licenses on the wall. I told you I'm not looking at the wall. The officer turns slightly, positioning his body so the camera faces the seated figure directly. Centered. Framed. You fit the description of someone who doesn't belong here. What description? I said stop talking. The radio crackles again. Supervisor's on the way, dispatch says. The officer answers without looking away. Copy. He stays planted. The exit stays blocked. The paperwork stays ignored. Authority has replaced questions, and nothing has been resolved. The officer shifts his stance, wider now, balanced. The camera drops half an inch as his shoulders lower. Stand up. I'm not a threat. I didn't say you were. Stand up. Hands stay on the table. Flat, visible. There are licenses on the wall, comes again. Same sentence, same tone. The officer finally turns his head, just enough to glance. Frames, glass, paper. He doesn't walk over, he doesn't read. That doesn't mean anything to me. A pause, the kind that stretches. You could walk 10 feet and check, the voice says. I'm not debating with you. The officer steps closer. The camera catches the edge of the table, pressing harder now. Turn around. Face away from me. For what reason? I said stop talking. The officer's hand closes around the cuffs. This time they come off the belt. Metal. Clinks. Loud in the mic. Hands behind your back. The hands don't move. They stay where they are. I'm not resisting. Comes again. You're refusing commands. The officer raises his voice, not yelling, sharper, slower, hands, behind, your back. A beat, street noise outside, a car passes, someone laughs down the block. None of it enters the room. There are cameras here, the voice says. The officer pauses. Just a second. The cuffs hang. Good, he says. Then this will be clear. He steps in. Too close now. The camera angle tightens. Chest, vest, badge filling the frame. You're being detained until I verify who you are. You're choosing not to verify. I decide how this goes. The officer keys the radio again. Supervisor, step it up. Static answers. The cuffs stay visible. The licenses stay unread. Distance is gone. From here on, every move is recorded, and none of them lead back. The officer keeps the cuffs in his hand. He doesn't apply them. He doesn't put them away. They stay visible in frame. Last warning. Hands remain open. Still, there are licenses. Right there. The officer turns his body just enough to block the wall completely. The documents disappear from view. I don't need paperwork from you. A phone buzzes on the table. The screen lights up. The camera catches it. Missed call. No answer. Don't reach for that. It's my phone, hands, where I can see them. They already are. The officer raises his voice again. Louder now. You're not in charge here. The front door opens. A gust of air. Footsteps stop short. Someone hesitates, sees the uniform, backs out. The bell over the door rings twice. The officer doesn't look back. Stand up. I'm asking you to check the wall. I said I'm not checking the wall. The officer shifts his feet, planting them. His shoulder bumps the camera slightly. The frame shakes. I already called this in as a detention. Another pause. If you're lying, this ends bad for you. The camera captures the word recording blinking in the corner. Red dot steady. You're making it worse, the officer says. You are. Comes back. Stop. The officer keys his radio again. Supervisor, I've got a non-compliant subject refusing ID. Dispatch responds. The audio is clear. Copy. 2 minutes out. The officer nods once. Decision locked. He moves the cuffs closer. Metal fills the frame. Turn around now. No one moves. The room stays quiet. The camera keeps rolling. The paperwork stays unseen. The record is being written, and it's no longer in his favor. Footsteps enter fast, heavier, confident. Another uniform fills the edge of the frame. What's going on? The officer answers immediately. Too fast. Possible trespasser, refusing ID. The camera swings as the second officer looks around. Lights on. Open door. Coffee pot still hot. Licenses half visible behind a shoulder. Refusing ID where? He won't cooperate. I've been cooperating, comes back steady. I asked him to check the wall. The second officer steps to the side. The licenses come fully into frame now. Framed. Official. Sealed. Those yours? Yes. The rookie steps in front of the wall again. Blocks it. Those could be fake. The second officer pauses. Looks at him. Then looks again at the documents. Why haven't you verified? I didn't need to. The rookie lifts the cuffs higher. His voice tightens. Turn around. Now. Stop, the second officer says. Firm. Audible. Recorded. The rookie doesn't stop. He reaches out, grabs an arm. The camera jolts hard. The table bangs. The coffee finally spills. Do not touch me, comes sharp. I told you let go, the second officer repeats. Louder. The rookie hesitates. Just long enough to be seen, then tightens his grip instead. That's the moment. The second officer steps in between. Hands up. Command voice. Release him. Now. The rookie freezes, realizes. Too late. A third voice enters from the door. What the hell is this? The supervisor. Clear. Controlled. Everyone stops moving. The cuffs are still out. The grab is still visible. The camera catches the rookie's hand loosening. Slowly. No one says anything for a second. The mistake has crossed from argument into action, and it can't be undone. The camera cuts, then resumes. Different angle, same date stamp. Later. A report is read out loud. Flat voice. Recorded. Unfounded detention. Failure to verify readily available information. Unnecessary physical contact. Paper moves in frame. A pen signs. Another signature follows. The officer stands off to the side. Hands empty now. No cuffs. No commands. Your body cam footage has been reviewed, the supervisor says. All of it. Silence. The security cameras were reviewed. Audio is clear. Witness statements match the video. A still image appears on a monitor. The wall. The licenses. Framed. Time stamped. Visible the entire encounter. You blocked access to this, the supervisor says. No response. Another document slides across the table. Citizen complaint sustained. Violation of department policy. Conduct unbecoming. The officer is instructed to remove his duty belt. The click of the buckle is picked up by the mic. Medal placed on the table. Badge last. Effective immediately, the supervisor continues. You are relieved of duty. The officer nods once. Nothing else. Cut. A different recording. Phone video. Vertical. Posted online. Shaky. Cropped. The moment of the grab. The spilled coffee. The command. Release him. Now. Views tick upward in the corner. Thousands. Then more. Another cut. News camera. Exterior. The diner sign visible behind yellow tape that isn't blocking anything now. Just there. A statement is read. The city has agreed to settle. A number is spoken, larger than expected, expensive sounding, repeated by another reporter to confirm. City officials stand still. No questions taken. Cut. An internal memo appears on screen. Headings only. No commentary. Failure in supervision. Failure in training. Failure in judgment. A line is highlighted. Officer cleared for solo patrol despite documented concerns. Cut. A termination letter is read aloud by HR. Neutral tone. Employment terminated. Effective immediately. Decertification initiated. A box is placed on the table. Personal items inside. Name tag, notebook. A pair of unused gloves. The officer signs again, this time at the bottom of the page. Cut. City Council chamber, wide shot. Microphones lined up. A clerk reads a motion. Settlement approved. A vote count flashes on screen. Passed. The number appears again. Same one. Taxpayer funds allocated. Cut. A policy update document scrolls slowly. Extended field training. Mandatory verification before detention. Supervisor review required. No explanation. Just bullet points turned into policy. Cut. The diner security footage reappears. The original angle. The first command. The first ignored chance. A timestamp runs from start to finish. Unbroken. Cut. The officer's name appears on a registry. Status. Inactive. Decertified. Date listed. No commentary. Cut. A final report summary fills the frame. Incident preventable. Escalation unnecessary. Evidence disregarded. The camera lingers on the last line. 30 seconds of verification would have ended the encounter. The recording stops. No apology on screen. No reversal of what happened. The city paid. The officer is gone. The footage remains. And the record doesn't change. The paperwork closed the case. The policies were updated. The money was paid. But nothing about this was rare. This happened in a place with cameras, with licenses on the wall, with a business owner who could prove who they were in under a minute. Most people don't have that. Most people don't have framed documents behind them. Most people don't have security footage covering every angle. Most people don't have a supervisor walking in before cuffs go on. If this is how authority behaves when evidence is visible, recorded, and immediate, what happens when it isn't? When it's a quiet street, a parked car, a hallway, a living room? This officer didn't lose control because of chaos. He lost control because he ignored verification and chose commands instead. That choice was approved by a system that put him there alone, cleared him early, ignored warnings, needed coverage more than judgment. The city paid because video made denial impossible. Policy changed because documentation forced it. Accountability happened because the record survived. Take away the cameras, and this ends differently. That's the comparison that matters. Not everyone gets a settlement. Not everyone gets their name cleared. Not everyone walks away without charges after a mistake like this. This wasn't stopped by good intentions. It was stopped by evidence. So the question isn't whether this officer was wrong. That's already answered. The question is, how many times this only ends quietly because there's no footage to play back? If this could happen here, in a public diner in daylight, with proof on the wall, where else is it happening? Tell us what you think. Comment below. If this made you pause, share it. If you believe records matter, subscribe. Because the next case might not have a camera pointed at it.